This is why people in the South should only get 3/5 of a vote. Turnabout is fair play. Don't y'all love to talk about American heritage? That would be holding fast to American heritage, would it not? Huh? Y'all like to talk about the founding fathers and what they intended? Huh? Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we explore the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we could build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@ReeseWaters.com. Now, I'll be honest. This definitely could have been a Who Raised Y'all. But it's just too racist. Today's nominee, the Confederacy. Let's start here. This really makes you wonder what the hell is wrong with some people. Imagine thinking that owning a store that sells Confederate merchandise is cool.
We shop at the Dixie Shop.
We shop at the Dixie Shop. We shop at the Dixie Shop.
She low self-esteem about it. She like this. They gonna kill me in the comment. Y'all know I work with colored children. Y'all know I work with colored children. Why would you? I said I wasn't in it. They don't need to know where I'm at after hours.
Dixie Shop. Best place in Myrtle. Hey, y'all gotta stop by. Get you a vest and get you a hat.
Good morning from the Dixie Shop.
Y'all found the Confederate equivalent for production capabilities. Y'all really found this how they lost the war. This how they lost. The timing is off. The execution. This exactly how they lost the war. Well, go to the union and ask them for somebody to make you a video then. That's what Robert E. Lee did.
Holy sh**.
You ain't gotta say nothing. You ain't gotta say nothing. Now I'm gonna let you get this off, but I just want to be clear about the fact that just purely aesthetically, none of that was presentable into the public. All you want to do is announce your racism. That's all that you can't argue. That looks good. You cannot argue that looks good. Hey, I ain't seen Trump memorabilia. That's it. Trump you can't argue it looks good. You can't do that.
That's it.
Oh, I feel you, dog. I feel you. We seen it. No, we seen it all. But look at them seriously. Do they look like healthy humans doing work that contributes to society, even just to their community? They can't all be bigoted redneck A-wipes in their state, surely. The odds are against that. You seen the voting numbers though? Huh? You seen the voting numbers? They said they in Myrtle. And I believe Myrtle, that's where they got the guy running on trying to bring back the Confederate flag to NASCAR. Yeah, that was Myrtle. So, you know, to your point about do they look like healthy, functional members of society? Send that to the right-wing media. They need to, because they love it. They was all free to make the video. They was all free. Wasn't nobody in a hurry. I can tell you that right now. Nobody was in a hurry. But let's do this about the flag though, because that's not the Confederate flag that I recognize. Show me the real Confederate flag. I said the real Confederate flag. Perfection. That's it. That's it right there. It's that part right there. The celebration of losing. The celebration of losing. Now, you might be watching this video and you say, hey, Reese, I've seen you have North Carolina jerseys. I've seen you have South Carolina jerseys. I've seen you have Florida jerseys, Georgia jerseys. I know that you have jerseys that represent the actual Confederacy. Why would you go with the Cleveland Browns? Well, I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, I have a Virginia jersey, and not enough time has passed yet for me to go with that one. I got a dog downstairs, so I can't. That one is still on the wait and see. That one's still on the wait and see. The other reason is, do you know how many Ohio videos I have done? You know how many videos I've done about Ohio? Whether it be about the brawl in Cincinnati, or whether it be about Yahtzees on the bridge, or whether it be about Vivek Ramaswamy getting dragged, or that councilman and mentor that took a day nap outside the Buffalo Wild Wings. I've done so much Ohio content. Do you know why I've never used the Ozzie Newsome jersey? Any guesses? Why have I never used the Ozzie Newsome jersey? Because he left with the Ravens and established a perennial powerhouse. That's why I don't use it to represent Ohio. Why do I take more interest and care in my jersey selection than you do about your entire wardrobe adorned with the losing side of an insurrectionist American faction? Huh? Why am I doing... I don't... It's that... I don't... What are you trying to communicate? Never to take you seriously? I think they're trying to communicate they're not here for the long haul. They not. Whatever it is that they engaged in, they will quit at any time. And then there's this. At a middle school basketball game in Southwest Virginia, the opposing team showed up to their opponent's gym and waved Confederate flags while yelling racial slurs. The home team has mostly black players on it. Remember, these are just middle schoolers doing this crap. Okay. What middle schoolers got time for procuring Confederate flags? Like, what middle schoolers got time for all that? If I wasn't in class in middle school, I was getting rejected by girls. That was all I was. It was 80% getting rejected by girls, 20% time in class. That was middle school for me. I wonder where middle schoolers get Confederate flags. From their parents that apparently show less care and concern for their children's minds and their children's future than I do, because I had the decency to hide their identity. But not y'all, though. Not y'all. Loud and proud, with a flag representing the school and the family. Congratulations. But Democrats were the Confederates. Wonder who their parents voted for. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. That's a good one right there. Because the Republicans love to talk about the Democrats as the party of the KKK, don't they? They love to talk about the Democrats as the party of the Confederacy and the fact that Lincoln freed the slaves while adorning themselves in Confederate memorabilia present day. Somebody send that to Nick Cannon. Send that to Nick Cannon. Yeah, tell Nick Cannon to ask them who they voted for.
Let me tell you something. As a Southern white man in the 1940s, I am always gonna support the
Democratic Party.
What you talking about?
That is the party of the KK. I ain't even gotta finish it. You know what I'm talking about. So you always vote Democrat, huh? So you gonna vote for the current president, Harry S. Truman? Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Truman. I mean, he got a D next to his name, right? I'm always gonna go for the D. Well, you heard what President Truman just did, right? No, what did he do? President Truman just integrated the military. He did what? Integrated the military with what? With black people. Black people can now serve on the same units as white people. Oh my God. No, he didn't. Truman did that. Harry S. With them round glasses like this. This round glass motherfucker did that shit. This some of my bitch picked on my leg and called it lemonade. I tell you what.
Republicans. Democrats were the ones who supported slavery and founded the KKK, not us. Republicans opposed slavery. Democrats, let's take down all the Confederate monuments. Republicans, don't touch my heritage. That was word perfect. That was word perfect. Word perfect. This is why people in the South should only get 3/5 of a vote. Turnabout is fair play. Don't y'all love to talk about American heritage? That would be holding fast to American heritage, would it not? Huh? Y'all like to talk about the founding fathers and what they intended? Huh? And to make it even more interesting, the school responsible for waving the Confederate flag is a private Christian school which serves at-risk youth. Oh, this just gets better, doesn't it? It just gets better, doesn't it? Mwah. Private Christian that serves at-risk youth. Now, let me ask y'all this, because if you guys are moving around and operating in your racist box, then you are obviously trying to create a scarcity of resources for people who live outside that box, namely black, brown children, those who fall below the poverty line, things of that nature. So you are actively creating at-risk youth. Are they welcome? Are they welcome? Huh? Had a similar situation when I was in high school in the 90s. I'm white, but went to an urban school. Went to play a school in the suburbs, and they burned a cross in the parking lot. Our coach, who's white, told us to get off the bus and go kick their butt. Hey, Confederate sympathizers. Hey, who y'all bet on? Who y'all betting on? Y'all want to bet on the team waving the Confederate flags or the black? Who y'all? Huh? Y'all gonna stand on business? I'll take that bet. I've been waiting for FanDuel to put that down there. In high school circa 2004 in rural South Carolina, the district banned white t-shirts. Then the black admins and students made a motion to ban Dixie Outfitters and Confederate gear, and they removed all bans because their original argument didn't hold up when you put a mirror in their face. They never do they? They never do. It's almost like you shouldn't be trying to make these arguments from your half of the educational rankings. You probably shouldn't. You know, you probably should probably just disengage. But here's the thing. To assume that this is all based in total ignorance would be faulty, because let's stay in Virginia. Virginia voters, particularly members of the black community, began receiving mailers that compared a proposal by Democrats to temporarily redraw the state's congressional districts to the Jim Crow era. The group behind it has received $9 million in donations from none other than pro-Trump tech billionaire Peter Thiel. Now let's get a look at this. Gerrymandering is detrimental to our democracy. Vote no. Politicians taking them. Well, they used Obama. Oh, okay. Now here's a question. So you are evoking Jim Crow and sending it to black folks in order to get them to vote a certain way. Now that wouldn't make any legitimate sense unless you were acknowledging the mistreatment and the marginalization that was inherent in the Jim Crow system. The same arguments that y'all disavow all of the time when we're talking about the current state of America and how we got here. So now all of a sudden, we acknowledging racism in America's history when we need to get black people to vote a certain way. I don't know if it was worth it. I don't know if it was worth it.
You may remember a little while back, I made a video about this.
They are the mailers that have so many people talking and angry.
These mailers are deeply offensive and deceptive.
Images of the civil rights movement invoking Jim Crow, saying they want to silence your voice, sent to African Americans to encourage them to vote no on the redistricting referendum, determining if congressional maps will be redrawn to favor Democrats.
That's right. These flyers that were sent specifically to black voters in Virginia to try and scare them into voting no on the redistricting, that's only being done to counter the redistricting plans in other states by Trump and MAGA Republicans to try and rig the midterms. This is a temporary thing. This would only last until after the 2030 census and then would revert. And someone says, no, don't vote on that. It's going to be like Jim Crow again and playing on very real fears. And the question, of course, was, who made these flyers? Who paid for these? Who sent them out? And the answer is Trump donor and tech billionaire Peter Thiel, whose group gave a $2.5 million contribution to the creator of those ads. Actually, slight correction since recording the original video. I said $2.5 million and we found out that's not accurate. It's actually $10 million. His group has given $10 million. Hey, I got a question. Why does a white billionaire who doesn't live in the state of Virginia feel like he needs to finance language that says our ancestors fought to represent us that is sent specifically to black voters? Why does he feel he's part of the our ancestors conversation? Here's a thought. When a tech billionaire spends $2.5 million to try and get you to vote no on something, or even worse, if he gives $10 million, you should vote yes. Reality is he's spending that money because he knows the outcome of this doesn't just affect Virginians, it affects the entire country. It affects the midterms, and he is scared. But we need to do everything we can to counter the misinformation that he spent real money on to sow in the minds of voters in Virginia. And one way you can do that, regardless of where you live, is by joining this virtual phone bank. I have a link in my bio where you can join up, and you can help get the word out so that Virginian voters are informed when they go and they vote. So please, if you have some time, if you care about this, if you care about what happens in the midterms, take a moment to sign up for this and help get the truth out there.
And shout out to Tizzy for that, always doing sensational work. And I'll echo the way that he ended. When a billionaire puts that much money and resources into trying to get you to vote a certain way, oh yes, you should most certainly do the opposite. And to the good people in Virginia, though, I do want to give you a shout out because you seemingly are in pretty good hands at the top, at least with respect to the Confederacy. Much better than the leadership you used to have, with the Confederacy. Virginia has now passed legislation ending tax breaks for white supremacist Confederate groups, even though the Civil War ended 161 years ago. But remember, reparations for black people are unrealistic, unfair, and unwarranted. After all, the Civil War ended 161 years ago. Tax breaks for white supremacist terrorists who enslaved black people were great, but reparations to black people harmed by enslavement are bad. This is what systemic white supremacy in 2026 America looks like. Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that they were out here getting tax breaks while fixing their fingers to prevent kids from getting lunch and remove all bootstraps and rungs of upward mobility to everybody else? But the Confederate groups were getting tax breaks. That's nasty work. It's that mirror. It's that mirror. It is that mirror. And another thing to Qasim Rashid, also one of my favorite follows, always doing sensational work. He says this is what systemic white supremacy in 2026 America looks like. You want to see what just open racism in America 2026 looks like? Just go to the comments. Now, wait a minute. Here's what I'm struggling with. Because this is the same kind of racism that right-wingers would disavow, that they feel no problem just scattershotting all over your acknowledgement of Confederate groups getting tax breaks removed. Now that seems like a pretty low bar for you to go with the open racism. But here's the thing. Once you go with the open racism, no other argument, explanation, or justification from you is needed. You just removed yourself from all proper discussion because you acknowledged that you were racist. I know. Tell me again how you feel about Obama's policy. Like, we know. Because you're racist. You said it.
Virginia's Governor Abigail Spanberger just signed into law.
Nah, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't. Put some respect on her name. Come on, dog. Come on. Put some respect on her name. She didn't play quarterback for Virginia Tech. We can mention her name.
Virginia's Governor
Abigail Spanberger
just signed into law a bill that eliminates the tax-exempt status for organizations connected to the Confederacy. The HB 167, passed by Democrats in the Virginia House and Senate, specifically removes the Virginia Division of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, the Stonewall Jackson Memorial, the Virginia Division of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, the Confederate Memorial Literary Society, along with other groups. All have been removed from the state's list of organizations exempt from the state's property taxes. Founded in 1894, the United Daughters of the Confederacy is a nonprofit organization with chapters in Virginia, California, Kentucky, South Carolina, and more. This organization is responsible for the proliferation of Confederate statues and monuments across the United States since the Civil War. In 2025, this organization did $2.5 million in revenue with over $15.8 million in assets.
Imagine that. Over $2 million in revenue for the Daughters of the Confederacy in 2025. Tax-free. I think that's probably where Shiloh Hendricks and them got their ideas. They can make that much money just on old racism? Imagine how much money I can raise on fresh racism. Welcome to the USA, where for over a century we've treated the Confederacy like a defeated traitor loyalty rewards program. Hey, John Fugelsang, you ain't said nothing but a word, but my favorite is the word traitor. Ain't that what y'all love? Y'all love to call somebody a traitor. Y'all love to call somebody a traitor for expressing their opinion on social media, but let you take up arms against the federal government, though. You know what I mean? Let you actually attack soldiers in defense of slavery, though. That's heritage. That's heritage. That's exactly the same kind of vision that'll make you think that Trump post was really a doctor. Groups like the United Daughters of the Confederacy have enjoyed decades of tax-exempt status, which means actual, modern, diverse 21st century Americans who pay their taxes have been helping foot the bill for monuments and mythology dedicated to a 19th century pro-slavery insurrection. And I would say without option. Like, we're paying for this. Friends, we haven't just been tolerating Confederate nostalgia, we've been underwriting it, like PBS, but with secession and human bondage instead of the tote bags. And the pro-Confederate defense is always the same. It's about history. Of course, the same way a concentration camp is about architecture. No, what this has always been about is the lost cause, that historical group denial project that insists the Civil War was about states' rights and not the specific states' rights to own human beings. Ooh, John Fugelsang, tag me in. What's this about states' rights again? Huh? What's this about states' rights again? You mean like when Trump sends in the National Guard against the wishes of the governor or mayor? Like that kind of states' rights? Is that what you mean? Or like when he tries to withhold federal aid because of him relitigating the 2020 election? Like that kind of states' rights? That's the kind of states' rights you talk about right there? Imagine if Germany handled World War II the way parts of America handled the Civil War. Welcome to the Hitler History and Heritage Center, now with a tax exemption and a lovely gift shop. Hey, John Fugels, don't give him no ideas. Don't give him no ideas. I know if you would have said that 5 years ago, it would have, but you know, they out here like they really out here like that. You should have seen them on the bridge in Ohio. And to the good people of Ohio, I know the Yahtzee's been off the bridge for a long time, but Yahtzee's on the bridge in Ohio just really comes off the tongue. It hits. It just hits. That sounds insane because it is insane. Most countries don't turn their moral catastrophes into collectible license plates, and yet here we are still debating whether statues of men who took up arms against the United States to defend great mutilation, torture, and life-to-death bondage deserve prime real estate or apparently a discount on their electric bill. The Confederacy lasted 4 years. I've had Costco memberships that lasted longer. There's so many great periods of Southern history we could and should be honoring. And to be fair, defenders of these groups insist they do charitable work, food drives, community service, and the occasional bake sale with a side of historical amnesia. Now, are these food drives and bake sales open to everybody? Huh? Are these open to everybody? Because that's going to be a problem for me. That's going to be a problem for me because you're not going to have the stars and bars and be doing the Confederate program bake sale and violating the core tenets of the Confederacy. And then if you're not, right? And then if you're keeping it to a select group of people, well, then you definitely don't get the tax break because it's not for everybody. And that's just a whole trick bag. That's a whole problem. I tell you what they don't have. They can have their bake sales and their charitable drives. They don't got no basketball league, I tell you. Hey, they still shooting set shots. They still using peach baskets. But if your philanthropy is tied to a brand built on treason, brutality, and white supremacy, maybe the problem isn't the tax code. Maybe it's your deeply crappy brand. If your nonprofit model depends on honoring people who fought for slavery, the IRS isn't your enemy. The 13th Amendment is. If Robert E. Lee wanted tax exemptions, he would have surrendered to the IRS. Oh, he's spitting. He's spitting. He's spitting right there. And it's a good thing Robert E. Lee is not current because he couldn't even probably surrender to the IRS. They done laid off too many people. They have him waiting out front until the next July 4th. They're like, what you doing here? I surrendered. And to think of the timing, this didn't happen in 1866 or 1966 or even 2006. It happened now, after civil rights movements, after Charlottesville, after decades of debate. America once again arriving on the right conclusion just in time for a possible sequel. Because the real story here isn't just that Virginia ended these tax breaks, is that it took this long to stop financially coddling what are, at their core, slavery fan clubs with much nicer stationery. And yes, history should absolutely be remembered, taught, and examined, scrutinized in all its brutality and complexity. But remembering history is not the same as romanticizing it. Museums remember, but monuments celebrate, and tax breaks, they endorse. Now that was sensational. Remembering history is not the same as romanticizing it. Huh. It is funny. It is funny because the same contradiction in that was them and it's our heritage is inherent in we need to preserve history, but y'all don't actually want to tell the story though. Y'all don't actually want to tell the story though, do you? They hate America. They're telling the truth about our ancestors. Y'all don't actually want to tell the story though. We want to romanticize history. I got you. Well, here's the thing. if you have to editorialize what actually happens, then what is the grounds for celebration? What is the, you know what I mean? It's like, you might as well put up your version of the Rocky statue. Like, if we writing stories, what's the grounds for celebration? And I understand, it's been a rough couple years for y'all. I know. It's been a rough couple years for the Confederacy. Y'all done lost Nottoway Plantation and people was barbecuing in the ashes. I know.
And we have new details this morning on that fire at historic Nottoway Plantation in White Castle.
Yeah, you can see the devastation to this historic home. This started around 2 o'clock yesterday in the afternoon. 166-year-old home on the banks of the Mississippi, now reduced to ash. And this was early on in the fire. This is a live look now at Nottoway Plantation this morning, right after 6 a.m. We're looking at about 20 hours since this first began in Iberville Parish. And what a shot there to see, be able to look straight through what used to be a huge plantation home. Obviously, the second and third floors are gone, and I don't think this would be able to be rebuilt. JP, a lot of weddings and other events planned for this spring and summer.
That's a very famous facade. It's appeared in movies, been in many pictures. It's a postcard for Iberville Parish.
And then they lost the DC plantation. And everybody thought they was talking about the Washington Commanders. No, it was actually a whole plantation burned down.
Right now in Northwest DC in the Colorama neighborhood, a massive house fire on Colorama Road has flared up again.
Y'all, they made it to DC. Another plantation burning down, y'all. Let it burn!
Then y'all lost the Confederate Museum to a well-placed tree.
A Confederate museum full of hatred and foolishness has fallen. In Fort Branch, North Carolina, Confederate Earthworks Museum, baby, they took a tumble. They were building this museum of hate and racism and just grossness. And God said, not so fast. A tree knocked down the entire museum. It's a complete and total loss. They did not have insurance. They cannot pass go or collect $200. Okay? Look at God.
Y'all even lost Fort Robert E. Lee, and the worst indignity, to a Buffalo Soldier. This from Task and Purpose: an Army base will now honor a Buffalo Soldier. Fort Lee is now named for Private Fitz Lee. The new namesake was a Buffalo Soldier who earned the Medal of Honor. It's almost like America has moved on from the Confederacy. And literally the only thing you can do to keep it going is adorning your children in Confederate memorabilia and giving them Confederate flags to wave at a middle school basketball game. How does that look? It looks like they're not gonna make it all 4 quarters. That's what it looks like. They're gonna give up sometime in the second half. They just hat in hand, they're gonna give up. Now, I think I've sufficiently told you about yourselves, but I know how y'all feel about us reading and writing and educating you. Sometimes you just got to hear from one of your own, but I can tell you, it's going to come off way worse than what I said.
DEI white men have showed up in my comments. Let me just make this clear. We all know you guys have most of your jobs because of white supremacy DEI. Because you're a white man. We know that. White women, we benefited really well from actual DEI, for sure. And from our proximity to white supremacist men, of course. That's why you guys get so mad when I talk about this stuff, because you see me and you're like, wow, I know, isn't that a bitch? Either way, we all know you guys are underqualified. So you can say racist stuff, like it's okay for the NFL to have a majority black workforce and labor force, but not have equivalent representation in coaching and front offices and ownership. You could say that, but what we actually know is going on is that you are terrified of the idea of actually needing to be qualified, the most qualified person in a room, in a league, in a company. All you have is the lore passed down to you by your racist families that you are entitled to something.